to the McCarran's Pub for letting us in, and to the neighbors, we're sorry we crashed the place and stole your bar for tonight on taco night. We apologize. This is the last time we will be here this campaign season to kick off. We might come back, but this is it for that. It is great to see everybody here to renew some old friendships and to start some new ones, but I've got a little bit of business to do first. That is to let you know that I would like to go to work for you as your next governor of the great state of Minnesota. It all starts right here, right now. Well, actually, it started quite a while ago. I met my wife Laura in kindergarten, 1 block to the west of here at McCarran's Lake Elementary School. When we come back today with 3 kids and a lifetime of meeting lots of you folks along the way with Marta, Jack, and Jane. We're very proud to be here today with our friends and our family. And Laura's here when she's not delivering babies or doing surgery or being the best mom in the world. She's usually out on the campaign stump with me. And that's been great. And this year it's going to be even better. Team Laura is going to be hitting out. She's going to be bringing a message of hope, a message of family, and a message that welcomes especially Minnesota's most vulnerable. And I'll tell you what, you are going to be proud to have Laura Dean as your next First Lady of the state of Minnesota. Well, I grew up around here just a little bit north of the parking lot. But actually, I was born in Ely, Minnesota. My dad was drawn north by a booming iron ore economy on the Iron Range. And he went up there with his young family. And he came back here to help his dad run this bar. And his great-grandpa started this bar. And I'm glad he did, because you can learn a lot from a place like this. I'll tell you what, the people around here have some common sense. And you can learn a little bit of humility, and you can learn not to brag on Rice Street. I'll tell you that much right now. Because if you think you're a little bit better than somebody else, that somebody else is going to have a sister or a brother or a mom that will teach you the meaning of Rice Street humility publicly and unmercifully and repetitively. So you can learn that here. My grandpa told me about a bartender, and he said, here's the deal. I'll show up on time, I'll never drink behind the bar, and I'll only steal $20 a day. Guess what? He got hired. He got hired. And my dad, when we were little, he would let us help around the bar. We got to stock the bar coolers. And now it was very interesting. The first cooler was filled with Schmidt. And the second cooler was filled with Schmidt. And the third cooler was filled with Schmidt. And the fourth cooler was filled with like milk and eggs and butter. And then there was some grain belt in there in case somebody got lost and wandered over here from Minneapolis. And right across from the coolers sat Ronnie Koski. And Ronnie was a Schmidt employee, and he was fiercely loyal to the brand like most Schmidt employees. And he would make us line up those bottles of Schmidt just perfectly. And he would he'd say, you gotta get the labels just right. He'd make us line it all up, and he'd sit over there at his bar stool that was assigned to him, I assume, by the president, but that was Ronnie's bar stool. And it was his job to make sure all the Schmidt labels were lined up. And then he would have us turn the grain belt labels the other way. But he was very good at that. He was very good at that. There was 2 big social occasions around this area. The St. Jerome's Booyah, okay. Mr. Barron was at the helm there. The St. Jerome's Booyah and the Dean's Tavern Booyah. Now, the Dean's Tavern Booyah was a big deal. We had a lot of people come around, and people would empty out their freezers right before hunting season. And they would come and they would dump everything into this gigantic cast iron cauldron. And there would be a head chef. That would be the guy with the canoe paddle. His name was the Old Goat. I don't know what his real name was. But the Old Goat ran the canoe paddle and the booyah pot. And then he would have an assistant, and the assistant would have a fishing net. And what the fishing net was for, that was to scoop out all of the bones and all of the leaves and all of the gunk that fell in there. And according to legend, 1 year a set of dentures. Now, I don't believe that's true, but I can tell you, all I remember was the booyah tasted great, and we seemed to survive without the Minnesota Department of Health booyah police coming up here and jumping down our throats every day. It was just fine. There was a long line of people who showed up with kettles to bring booyah home, and they fed their families, and we fed a lot of families a lot of booyah, and it was very cool. But the thing I remember most about that is that the people who were doing the work, that were making the booyah, there was only a few of them, but there was a gigantic committee that formed around them to tell them what they were doing wrong. It was very, very instructive, because I learned everything I needed to know about the legislature from right there. Actually, truth be told, a lot of people ask me, what's it like at the legislature? You know, what's it like to work down there? And I say, close your eyes and try to imagine yourself trapped in an old country buffet with Michael Moore. It's what it's like. You just try to protect your kids and stay the heck out of the way most of the time. But actually, you can see the Capitol from here. And if you're on North Rice, particularly in the winter time, you can see the Capitol. And I often thought, when I was a little kid, I thought, wow, that's cool, you can see the Capitol and the cathedral from up here. I never thought I'd be working down at that end of Rice Street, but here I am. And I really wish that the people who work down there at that end of Rice Street, the legislators and the governor, could come up here to see what we do down there, how that affects people. Is Governor here? Oh, no. He's here. Probably somebody that just looks like the governor. But you're welcome if you're here. But I always thought it would be great to see if the people who work down there could actually come up here and see what it's like for real people. The people I grew up with at McCarran's Lake Elementary School, at St. Jerome's Church, at Frank B. Kellogg High School. All right. Those are good families, hard-working families that took care of their families, they paid their bills, they had good, strong families, and this state worked for them. But you know, I drive around today and things are just a little bit different around here. You know, I was driving around the neighborhoods and I was thinking, you know, Ronnie Koski, remember Ronnie from the bar stool? The Schmidt plant got turned into hipster condominiums. I wonder what Ronnie would think about that. But those jobs are gone. When I was a little kid, moms and dads worked at 3M. But their moms and dads made stuff. Now we still have 3M right here in Maplewood, their corporate headquarters. But the people who work there now make decisions and they make predictions, but they don't make sandpaper and they don't make Post-it notes anymore. And you know, I was driving around and I don't see the things that I saw when I was a little kid. I don't see the campers with the Yellowstone bumper stickers or the Wall Drug bumper stickers. I don't see boats getting pulled out on Friday afternoons to get ready for the weekend. And I think middle-class Minnesota is really kind of in a vice. They pay more and more and they get less and less, and they pay less. They pay more and more, they get less and less, and they see other people pay less and less and they get more and more, and it's not fair. And it's not working for them. Nowhere more do you see that within healthcare. In Minnesota, we have 1 in 5 Minnesotans on Medicaid. 1 in 5. That's over 1 million people. And those are the only folks who have real choice for healthcare anymore. Last year, we spent $231 million paying for healthcare for people who didn't qualify for it. Checks went to the HMOs for people who lived in a different state, made too much money, or were dead. Steve Drazkowski, who's here today, has a bill that says maybe we should check to see if people actually qualify. And if they don't, maybe we should stop paying them. a good job. But what about middle-class Minnesotans? What were they told? They were told, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. You're going to save $2,500 a year. You're going to have more choices. Well, let's see what happened. They did lose their doctor. They did lose their plan. And the costs? The costs didn't go down. They went up. In some cases, they went up 200, 300, 400%. People going into debt to pay their premiums. Going onto credit cards to pay for premiums. Not even looking at co-pays and deductibles. They're just an accident or an illness away from financial ruin. That's where middle-class Minnesotans are right now. And you know, that's not even the worst of it. A whole bunch of people across the state of Minnesota had their entire health care pushed onto a $400 million broken website called MNsure. And you know, the day after I introduced a bill to kill MNsure, I got a call from Charlie Dunker. And Charlie said, this is my story. And he told me the story about he and his wife, Gail, and about how they did everything right. They had a small business. They went online. They signed up for MNsure. They got a thing back saying, you're covered. Then they filled out paperwork. They mailed that in. They mailed a check in. The check got cashed. And Gail wasn't feeling so good. So she went into the doctor. And the doctor said, something's not right with you, huh? Okay, well, they started to poke around to do some tests. And then she got a call back. And the call back was a bad call, but it wasn't a diagnosis. It said, Gail, you don't have any health insurance. And Gail said, well, that can't be. MNsure screwed up. And now she needs to get diagnosed. So what does Charlie do? Charlie tries to get her some health care. He goes out, he calls everybody he can. And she can't get seen. So what does he do? He has to borrow the money to get the tests to find out that she has cancer. And then he has to beg and plead for care now that they have a diagnosis. Gail Dunker fought MNsure for months when she should have been fighting her cancer. By the time she collapsed and was taken to the emergency room, it was too late. You know, Charlie shared his story on our website, and it's been shared tens of thousands of times across Minnesota to say enough. And it breaks my heart every time I see it, but it also makes me extremely angry. And it should make us all angry. Because, well, it makes me personally angry because I love Charlie and Gail and Laura are the same age. They should both be here today, and they would be if it wasn't for MNsure. You know, Charlie's story has been shared all over the state, and it's an important story that we need to understand that this is real stuff. This has real impact on people all across the state. And what we need to do is understand where we need to get back to. Minnesota had the highest quality health care in the country. We had the lowest number of uninsured in the country. We had a way to pay for folks who are uninsured and low income. We had a way to pay for people with pre-existing conditions like cancer or heart disease. We had a way for kids to stay on their parents' plan until they were 25. This is all 2005. And where are we today? Where are we today? Now, I'm not going to make a bunch of campaign promises and take up more time with that. But I'm just going to give you a couple predictions. Wherever there's a family on MNsure, I am going to be there to reconnect them with the greatest health care in the country, and I'm going to do it with a two-step plan. And that step is step 1, kill it. Step 2, bury it. And I will not rest until Minnesotans are reconnected with the best health care in the country. Where there's a farmer who's tired of having his land overtaxed and confiscated at the same time. I'm going to be there to say that Minnesota is going to work for you again, and we are going to have your back. Right. Wherever there is a shopkeeper who wants to maybe keep just a little bit left at the end of the month, maybe hire another employee, maybe expand a little bit, but she can't because she's too afraid because of the red tape and the taxes and the hassle that we put on her. I'm going to be there to roll up our sleeves and say, Minnesota has to work for you again. wherever there's a mom who said, why does my kid have to be trapped in a school that fails them? I'm going to be there for her and say, this state is going to work for you again because we are going to give your child a ticket out and a ticket to prosperity. Wherever there's somebody trapped in traffic, like all of us are, I will find the people at the DOT who make these crazy schemes and deal with the social planners that try to pull us out of our cars and put us into stupid little trains that take us to places we don't want to go. And I will say, we are done with that. We are stopping that. I will talk to the people at the Met Council, and I will say to everybody at the Met Council, review your resume. And if it doesn't start with infrastructure and digging holes for pipes and end with keeping your nose out of other people's business, I am going to copy your resume because you are going to need to have that out, buddy. And I will tell you this. Wherever there is a cop who can't protect his people he serves because of stupid sanctuary city laws, this governor will go to that cop and say, I have your back, this state has your back, and we will have your back. And wherever there is a protester on Highway 94 trying to shut down our freeways, or trying to shut down our airport, or trying to shut down our capital, I will be there to say our state laws will work again for you, my friend, because you are going to jail. Wherever there's a Republican who says, you know, this state just can't work for me. This state just can't work for me anymore. I'll say to you, you know what? It can. But first you're going to have to do some work yourself. And then you're going to have to want to win. You know, when I first ran for the House, I didn't know much about politics. But the insiders and the know-it-alls and the hand-wringers came over and they told me that I couldn't run because, well, I lived in the wrong city and I wasn't a soccer mom. I said, well, I really like my house and I'm not going to move and I like being a dad and, well, I'm going to say a dad. So I told him to buzz off and I ran for office anyway. We surprised a lot of people, and a lot of people in this room were here to help when we were the only Republican campaign to defeat a Democrat campaign that year as an incumbent. And every year I've worked very, very hard to win in years that have sometimes been good and sometimes been not so good for Republicans in my area. And I think, and I hope, and I know that that's because I didn't abandon my principles or abandon my party. I think it's because I kept them. There's a governor's seat open, and now all the naysayers and the hand-wringers and the bedwetters and the finger pointers are back again, and they seem to have this crazy notion that Minnesota's different, and the only way that Republicans can run a race statewide is to basically politely lose or weakly win and pretend that you actually lost when you govern. Well, I got news for the bedwetter class. We ain't doing that. We're going to hear from great people all across the state of Minnesota. Please go to mattdean.org and sign up. Sign up to be a star on Team Laura, or you can grab one of these stars and sign your name on it. We are going to have so much fun. It's going to be unbelievable. And I'm going to just close with this. A couple of years ago, one lady in Hugo made it really simple for me. I was up there campaigning in the middle of a campaign, and I was talking to this lady named Katie. And I thought she was on my team, and things were going really well. And I said, you know, we've got to take this state back. And boy, did she let me have it. She said, you know, that's the trouble. The Republicans take the state back from the Democrats, and then the Democrats take the state back from the Republicans, and we never get it. And she's right. We are going to have a state that works for us again when we have a governor that doesn't think we all work for him.
That's right.
And we are going to have a state that works again when we focus on real solutions. And I'm going to run on solutions. I'm not going to run away from them. I'm going to run to lead the party. I'm not going to run to hide from the party. And you're going to have a governor and a party that you can be proud of and that you can win with. And I'm just going to close with this. When we close here tonight, I'm not going to adjourn. I'm going to recess. And we are going to reconvene on election night, and we are going to celebrate a victory, and we are going to kick off another rally as we begin to make Minnesota a state that works again. Thank you, and thank you for being here. Thank you in advance for the work ahead. And may God bless the